Hello, YouTube. Welcome back. 5 more things, plus 5 more things over there, plus a couple more into the next stack after. I'm fucking flying through shit these days. But the future is the future. Well, let's talk about the right now. First up, a couple books. First one being the Robotech Doomsday book, which is composed of 3 volumes: of Battle Hymn, Force of Arms, and Doomsday. So broken up into 3 kind of sections based on books that were originally written back, I think, in the 80s or maybe 90s. This collection of them was published in 2024, and it picks up with the Robotech story that we saw in the cartoon, and that expands upon the first volume that I reviewed maybe last year or something. But basically, the SDF-1, the space fortress that holds Captain Glowville, Rick Hunter, the ace pilot, all the other people that are living on that fortress and fighting off the Zentradi, have come back to Earth and are looking to touch down and go back to life as normal as it can be anyways. But Earth is their home and they want to have their safe haven there. They are denied by the United Defense Force, or whatever the hell they're called, and said, no, you can't come back here. You pose too much of a risk. The Zentradi will just come looking for you again and they'll destroy us as well. So no, you're not welcome here, basically. So everybody's like, what the fuck? So soon enough, the Zentradi do come looking for them. So they have to kind of take off, let Earth be safe while they once again take the brunt of the Zentradi hatred and engage in more battles. And as time goes by, eventually a bit of an insurrection on the Zentradi side rears its head. The 3 initial spies that were sent to the SDF-1 by the Zentradi, Rico, Konda, and Braun, I think their names were, fell in love with Minmay the singer and some of Earth customs and all the stuff they do. They don't have that kind of stuff with the Zentradi. They don't have things and singing, and the men and the women don't even kiss and fuck, right? So they're seeing all this stuff and they're like, this is amazing. So they eventually make their way back to the Zentradi fleet and they tell everybody they see about this stuff. They bring some of the Earth stuff with them, and all of a sudden all these Zentradi are like, oh my god, I want to go. I want to live there. This sounds way better than doing this. So this massive kind of migration happens and all these Zentradi abscond from their home forces and go live on the SDF-1 with the humans. And of course, some humans are accepting of them, others aren't, with all the deaths that have occurred at the Zentradi hands. So it's not just them showing up and seamlessly fitting into life on the SDF-1, right? So we've got that going on, but at the same time, eventually Dolza and all the Zentradi commanders launch an all-out attack on the SDF-1, and I think they have over 1 million ships in orbit around Earth and the SDF-1. So they take the fight to them, and they come up with a plan to turn the tide using Minmay to sing and confuse them all and stuff like that. But regardless, tons of casualties are had on both sides. And the Earth is totally wiped out. All civilization there is wiped out. The big cannon they built on Earth, the Earth Defense Force or whatever, fired and helped in the cause to fight off the Zentradi because they had no other choice. But ultimately it failed. Most of Earth was wiped out, and not all of the Zentradi, but most of the Zentradi in it that were attacking Earth and the SDF-1 were also wiped out. So the only one that survived in some of his forces was Chiron, the backstabber, who knew that their effort was doomed to fail. So he kind of fucked off with his own forces and vowed to rear his ugly head once again at some point in the future. So after all this happened, Lisa Hayes was down on Earth when the incident happened. She was the only survivor. Rick went looking for her, found her, and eventually the SDF-1 settled down on Earth. So over time, they built up new communities on Earth, but it wasn't the same. The landscape was desolate. You know what I mean? It was basically an obliterated world. And over time, as these new civilization started to get the gears moving, some of the Zentradi that had come to live with the Earthlings because they thought it would be better kind of reverted to their old warlike ways and started to rebel and then go out into the wasteland and be with other Zentradi that felt the same way. So there was trouble brewing. And eventually, the way it ended, this collection was Chiron led one last attack on the SDF-1 and all the Veritech forces, and the Earthlings were able to turn them away and defeat Chiron, but not without a cost. Once again, massive casualties, whittling them down even more. But it looks like they may have finally found themselves, bought themselves a bit of time, a bit of peace to rebuild, and finally not have to be checking over their shoulder, every second of the day. But the Robotech Masters, the more human-like people that control the Zentradi, have been monitoring everything that's going on this whole time, and it sounds like they are going to make their presence known in the near future. So I think there's one more volume of these books to go, which I have in my possession right now. So no spoiler alert there. You knew I was going to keep going with this. So that will be coming at some point in the future. So we'll see how this all ends up. I know how it all ends up. I watched the cartoon. But anyways, to keep the suspense for you, I'll pretend I don't know how it's going to go. Next up, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Revenant, released in 2001. This was a really good book. So in Sunnydale, suddenly they're having some gang activity spring up, and it's all Asian gangs. They're taking protection money, all that kind of stuff, and they seem to be everywhere all of a sudden. In the meantime, Willow has a new Asian friend at school. Her name is Jaya Lee, and she's kind of secretive about her family life because there's a lot of weird stuff going on. So the story actually picks up when Willow has pressed Buffy and Angel into service to go to the cemetery and help Willow look over Jaya Lee because her family is involved in some sort of ceremony. So I guess back in Sunnydale, way back in the day in the 1800s or whatever, there was a mine and then there was a collapse, and one of Jaya Lee's ancestors was killed in this collapse. And I don't know if this is a real thing, and I can't remember all the terms, but in Asian culture, if somebody dies and there's no closure or something like that, like somebody gets killed in a mine cave-in and they're not properly put to rest or whatever, their spirit is never put to rest, and it can haunt the family members for not sorting things out in the end, sort of thing. So that's what Jaya Lee is afraid of. That's what Willow wants to keep an eye on to help Jaya Lee if her family does need help, if something does happen. So that's going on. So eventually, as the gang activity increases, Buffy, Xander, Willow all get involved. This mysterious girl arrives on the scene and saves Xander's ass a couple times, and she seems to know what these gang members are. And some of them are human, but a lot of them aren't. There's some sort of weird demon or something like that, and she knows how to fight them. So there's more to this mystery than these kids know about yet. So they do their normal thing. They hit the library. Giles is trying to figure out what's going on. Buffy's out there kicking ass. Willow's doing her witch stuff. And eventually they figure out through Buffy's mom, I think, who has acquired some sort of statue for somebody, that there is a wealthy Asian businessman that has recently moved into Sunnydale. Nobody can figure out why, because Sunnydale is this tiny little nothing town, right? And he's having this statue brought in. So Joyce is like, Buffy, do you want to see what this statue's all about? If this guy's so sussy, right? So they abscond with the statue and are immediately chased and run down and stuff like that. So there is some sort of link between this guy and what he's doing in Sunnydale with all of the gang activity, which is in turn related to that mine cave-in and the wandering spirits of the people that were killed in that mine cave-in. But I'm not going to let you know how it all ties together, just in case you want to read this story one day. But either way, it's a great story. I flew through it in record time. I'm loving these Buffy expanded adventures in book format. They're really good stories. Oh no, I dropped it. Next up, a movie a movie from 1995 known as Mortal Kombat. I hadn't seen this movie since it originally came out in 1995, and I forgot how awesome it is. People have mixed feelings on it, but I love it. So it's based on the game, of course, and the story is that Raiden recruits Johnny Cage, Sonya Blade, and Liu Kang to compete in the Mortal Kombat tournament because the Mortal Kombat tournament is held once every generation, and if the emperor who runs it, if or sorry, I guess Shang Tsung runs it, but if Shang Tsung, if the forces of the Outworld win this tournament 10 times in a row, they will be able to infiltrate the Earth Realm and take it over. And right now they're sitting at 9 wins in a row. So the Earth Realm cannot afford to lose this tournament or they're screwed, sort of thing. So Raiden has recruited these three and used their insecurities or motivations or whatever. So with Liu Kang, he wants revenge on Shang Tsung because Shang Tsung killed his brother. For Sonya Blade, one of the Outworld participants, Kano, killed her partner. And then for Johnny Cage, he's an actor with all these martial arts skills, and everybody says he's a fraud. He's not that good. It's all fake. So he wants to go in this tournament and prove that, no, I can kick ass, sort of thing. So those are their motivations for going. And so they go to the tournament. They're doing well. They're making it through it. Katana, who is the emperor who kind of oversees the whole tournament, she's his adopted daughter. She goes to try and help these three, but is kind of turned aside by Shang Tsung and his henchmen. And eventually Johnny Cage has to, or sorry, is it Liu Kang or Johnny Cage? I can't remember. Goro, the guy with all the arms, they have to encounter and engage him and beat him. So they keep fighting. They keep managing to make it further than Shang Tsung wants them to. So eventually he kidnaps Sonya Blade and takes her to the Outworld. Raiden can't go there because his powers don't work there. So he sends Johnny and Liu Kang there. And eventually they meet up with Katana, and she explains that Outworld was actually once a really nice place. But the Emperor came from a third dimension, ran the tournament there, won, and that's how Outworld became the desolate wasteland that it is, because they lost the Mortal Kombat tournament and the Emperor turned it into shit, sort of thing. So she gives them all this information and helps them on their way. And eventually, of course, it boils down to a final confrontation between Shang Tsung and Liu Kang. And, well, not going to tell you how it goes, but you can probably assume how it goes. But either way, awesome movie based on an awesome game. And I can't wait to continue watching this series because I actually bought a 3-pack DVD with all the Mortal Kombat movies on it. So, hey, why not?